Yo, what's up, Foot Clan? Welcome to the dojo here. If you are new here, and you like what you see, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and hit that ding bell for future content. All right, let's dive on in. So, what's popping, Foot Clan? So, today I will be talking about a new contender to the meta being Numeron Eldlich. Now, those of you who don't know me, I've been playing pure Eldlich for a while, since its release. And I was really looking for a new deck to play, something really control. Because that's kind of the style I go with whenever I play a deck. At the time I was playing, before that, I kind of took a break from the game because there wasn't really anything I wanted to play. I wasn't really a fan of any of the decks that were out. Even though I like Invoked, but I didn't want to play Invoked shit alls. It just didn't really pick up my interest. And it just seemed really fair because it lost evenly, and I just didn't feel like playing it. You had to earn like a certain amount of cards and stuff like that. But that doesn't matter. This isn't about me. So let's just get to the point. So now we know Eldlich has like the combo where they play the synchro variant where you do the +4, a Savage, and I think a Herald or something. Or maybe it's just Savage. I may be over saying that. There's that synchro. There's the VFD draw 3 combo. They all generalize, go around the same thing in the synchro. Use and abuse Hopple Frybrax. Go through all that kind of stuff. So those are the variants that we've had so far with that pure invoked, make a Macabre, summon back the summon back the Golden Lore, use your Golden Lore stuff and things like that. So we've seen those variants. We know what those variants do. We've seen it for about 3 months now. But with Battle of Legends around the corner, I believe there's a new contender. Now, this isn't a reaction video. I just already planned this, and it just happened to be at the same time everybody decided to drop the same content about it. So I guess you could say I'm joining the bandwagon on it. But I'm obviously talking about Numeron Eldlich. How I feel about Numeron Eldlich, my whole feelings and things like that. And I do feel like the Numeron package will push the synchro version kind of to the side because you just use less resources and it's a little bit more consistent in that matter. And that's really just what it does when you play the Numeron package, with the Numeron network. It's like a 1 card this and that, and I'll get into that later. So now we're looking at a first place list that came out in the OCG. And what the Numerons allow is they auto lock your opponent. So because you're making S0, you're making S0 Zexal Utopia, and when it has and your opponent turns, you can you can have your opponent not be able to activate effects. When you use the Numeron network, it does this thing where it lets you summon up to 4, so it dodges Nibiru, which is why the synchro engine is kind of probably going to fall to the wayside, so you can use less resources. So if you go first and you don't open any interaction that you can on their turn or any interaction in general, you're kind of in this weird lock, which is why some players believe that the S0 should be banned. Look, I don't really jump on those things. Hey, look, do what you want. I do believe the deck is a little bit of, or a lot of little dick energy, but that's not the point. So what the Numerons allow you is, other than auto locking your opponent, is they really work well going second. and they do this thing where, like, if you attack and then they can boost their attack, so you may end up getting, I think it's like exactly 8,000, so they're able to OTK you. This list is playing Dragoons, which we know how Dragoons works. If you don't know about Red Eyes Dragoons, it comes out in the Megatins, which I will probably talk about how that is really game changing in a later video. You know, Red Eyes Dragoons, you know, you have negates and pops. You also see cards such as Forbidden Droplet, which is good in the resource game. It's not really good against combo decks. And here's why. Because if you're playing a combo deck, right, you're going to end on multiple negates and such and things like that. But if you're playing like against another deck, that, let's say you're playing against Striker, right? Like, theoretically, you're going to see it. Like, it's a fan favorite. So if you're playing against like Striker, you know, you pitch a spell, you know, they can't activate spells. So, you know, stuff like that. It's really good against, you know, when you're playing trap base or really control like decks, which is why I think Eldlich is really good at doing this. They're really, you know, in the mirror, it would be great. So, Lithium also has a build too, so check that out. I'll put that down in the description below. Before, with the synchro plays, you kind of had, or it kind of reminded me that, like, Synchro Eldlich really reminds me of Trickstar Sky Striker, where it's like, together, they just work well, and they're annoying and irritating, and I hate it, and I never thought, I never liked those two combined. So I don't like these two combined either. That, you know, it's kind of like breaking something out. You know, I believe both were Little Dick Energy, like I was saying. But the thing about this is, or the Synchro Eldlich, is it just does something a little bit more different. Where, yeah, you in on negates and you in on draws and stuff like that. They just do the same, like, on their own, they're so fair, but just together, they just do so much, and it's just really annoying. Just like, you know, any deck, like a few decks, you know, if you look at Danger Thunder, right? You look at all those engines, you know, you had the Guard Dragons, you had the Thunder Dragons, and you had the Dangers and other stuff. None of those on their own were broken or anything like that. It was just, all of them together were really annoying, and they just worked really well together. And since I do believe Synchro Eldlich won't, I don't believe it'll be bad. I just believe it'll be pushed a little bit to the side because, like I said, the Synchro will move, and it uses so much more resources. Where if you like to be a control player or a resource player, this is probably the version you're gonna play, in a sense. And this is what I believe about Eldlich. You know, I said this before, they have this just grindy style, but they just needed something to just push them a little bit more to be a better. They really didn't need anything to be a better deck. They just needed, for a control player, for it to be a better deck. And I think if you want to play the control aspect, Numeron Eldlich is the best. You know, I do always believe that Eldlich is the best deck. It's just so much more grindier, and you know, I think it's just the top control deck right now. And you know, now you're gonna play again different variants. You may play Synchro, you may play this Numeron package, and what the Numeron network card does is it's basically a one card S0 Utopic Zexal. So, like, in theory, you probably want a Ghost Ogre, which now falls back into the meta's Numeron network, which has been said by a lot. Again, this is another example of, in Rise of the Duelist, that Forbidden Droplet will be a good card. I hate to say this, but you can kind of kaiju it. And that's like kind of the thing, right? When you look at this, right? So if you keep two cards on the field and they have, you know, Eldlich and you gotta fight a Dragoons, it's it's an uphill battle. I do believe that the meta is variously gonna evolve. You may see some people try to just play Dragoon Eldlich, just get Dragoons on the field, get Eldlich, do whatever. I mean, like, the network itself is pretty self-explanatory. Like I said, it can OTK going second. It can do a lot going first. You lock them going first. You attempt to OTK going second. And if you're missing cards, you could solely be focused on the Numerons, and they may just be playing Eldlich, and that, when that happens, you gotta learn how to fight, whatever, and like, it puts you in this weird predicament, right? Like, as a player, right? I mean, I'm not saying this is the best deck. I think this is the best controlled deck in theory, but just because you have the best, I've seen where people have played the best deck and they haven't done good, and I've seen people where they played the best deck and they've won just because they're playing the best deck, but when they go to a bigger events, the technical play isn't there where it is, so they don't do as good as they think they are. So when you lack, just having Numeron Eldlich doesn't mean like, oh my god, this guy's really good. No, you just be a better player. I hate to say that. Like, the thing about our format is like, you have to look at all these combos that are running around when you even think about the synchro and all these locks and the synchro Eldlich and emancipators, and then we're gonna have it for Noble Knights and all of these combos we're gonna have. At some point, you're gonna have to sit there and realize, or this is like the realization, like, can this deck make Halka Frybrax? Yes, it's a good deck. Can this deck do something without Halka Frybrax that's really good? And that's what makes Numeron Eldlich so scary. It does that. Like, if your deck can't be good with Halka Frybrax, it's really bad. And like, those are the plays you have to stop. Like, that's what makes these good decks good. Just because you can, do these cool stuff. That's what makes like Dinos relevant still, because they can do the Halka Frybrax plays, and they have the ability to. And I think Dinos is the 5th best. If your deck can't stop it, like I said, you got to play a lot of hand traps this format, and that's kind of where this format is heading. How many hand traps can you fit in the deck? How many engines can you fit? And you're gonna see a lot of Eldlich running around until they decide to do something or whatever. I don't know what they're gonna do. I don't really have a preference. No, and this isn't me being biased. This is just me looking at it from a pure point of view. Like, I always like pure decks, or pure to an extent. I think they do good. So yeah, stuff like that. So make sure you're on the lookout. Yeah, for Numeron Eldlich. Peace out, and I will see you all later.